Kale. Yeah! Meet the Green Giant's Dinosaur and Dwarf Blue Curled Kale. Welcome to the wonderful world of kale. We're diving into two fantastic varieties, Dinosaur Kale, also known as Lacinato, and Dwarf Blue Curled Kale. Don't let the names intimidate you. These greens are easier to grow than you might think. First up, Dinosaur Kale. It's a tall drink of water with dark green, bumpy leaves. Its Italian name Lacinato means curled, which is quite fitting. Think of it as the fashion model of the kale world. Then we have Dwarf Blue Curled Kale. This variety is more compact and frilly. Its vibrant blue-green leaves add a splash of color to any garden. Plus, it's a bit more cold-hardy than Dinosaur Kale. Both of these kales are nutritional powerhouses. They're packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. You can enjoy them raw in salads, sautéed with garlic, or blended into smoothies. The possibilities are endless. Prep talk. Laying the groundwork for kale-licious success. Before we get our hands dirty, let's talk soil. Kale loves well-drained soil that's rich in organic matter. Think of it as a gourmet meal for your plants. First, check your soil's pH. Kale prefers a slightly acidic to neutral pH, around 6 to 7. You can test your soil with a simple pH kit from your local garden center. Next, amend your soil with compost. Compost is like a multivitamin for your soil, providing essential nutrients. Mix in a generous amount before planting. A good rule of thumb is to add a 2-inch layer of compost and mix it into the top 6 inches of soil. Don't forget about fertilizer. Kale is a hungry crop, so it benefits from a balanced fertilizer. Look for a fertilizer with equal parts nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Follow the package instructions for application rates. Seed starting, from tiny sprouts to mighty greens. Now for the fun part, planting. You can start kale seeds indoors or sow them directly into the garden. For indoor sowing, use seed starting trays and a high-quality seed starting mix. Sow the seeds about a 1/4 inch deep and keep the soil consistently moist. Kale seeds need light to germinate, so don't bury them too deep. Once the seedlings have a few sets of true leaves, it's time to thin them out. This gives the remaining seedlings more room to grow. Pinch off the weaker seedlings at the soil line. Direct sowing is even easier. Wait until after the last frost has passed and the soil has warmed up. Sow the seeds 1/2 to 1 inch deep, depending on the variety. Keep the soil moist, and you should see sprouts within a week or two. Whether you started your kale indoors or direct sowed, it's time to transplant. Choose a sunny location for your kale. These leafy greens need at least 6 hours of sunlight per day to thrive. Space your kale plants 18 to 24 inches apart. This gives them plenty of room to spread out and grow to their full potential. Dwarf Blue Curled Kale can be spaced a bit closer together, about 12 to 18 inches apart. When transplanting, handle the seedlings gently. Water the planting holes well before carefully placing the seedlings in the soil. Make sure the root ball is level with the surrounding soil. After transplanting, water your kale deeply to help them get established. A good deep watering once or twice a week is better than frequent shallow watering. Kale is a relatively low-maintenance crop, but it does appreciate a little TLC. Here are a few tips to keep your kale happy and healthy. Water wisely. Kale prefers consistently moist soil. Water deeply when the top inch of soil feels dry to the touch. Avoid overwatering, which can lead to root rot. Fertilize regularly. Kale is a heavy feeder, so it benefits from regular fertilization. Use a balanced fertilizer every 2 to 3 weeks during the growing season. Mulch around your plants. Mulching helps to retain soil moisture, suppress weeds, and regulate soil temperature. Apply a 2 to 3 inch layer of organic mulch, such as straw or wood chips, around your kale plants. Keep an eye out for pests. Kale is relatively pest-free, but it can be susceptible to cabbage worms, aphids, and slugs. Inspect your plants regularly and take action if you see any signs of infestation. The best part about growing your own kale is the harvest. You can start harvesting kale leaves when they're about the size of your hand. To harvest, cut the outer leaves first, leaving the inner leaves to continue growing. Kale is a cut-and-come-again crop, so you can continue harvesting leaves throughout the growing season. After harvesting, rinse your kale leaves thoroughly and store them in the refrigerator. Kale can be stored in the refrigerator for up to a week. You can also freeze kale for longer storage. With a little care and attention, you'll be enjoying fresh, homegrown kale in no time. So get out there and get growing.